I'd like to thank LER, our food service provider, for providing today's meal, but also they had 425 of us through that buffet line in 20 minutes. That's military precision. And they actually ate the entire enchilada. Thanks. Got a little joke there. Thank you for the humor. It's my pleasure now to bring up our interim president to say a few words about the university updates. So please help me welcome to the stage. I'm not going to call you doctor, but Rico Munn, Esquire.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's so much better, all right? It's always horrible when you're in an echo chamber with a room full of people. Well, as TK told you, my name is Rico Munn, and it's my honor to be the interim president here at CSU Pueblo. There's wonderful things happening here at CSU Pueblo, and we're so grateful to have so many of you to come out and be part of both of our donors who invest in our students and invest in our work here, and then so many of our students here who come from all kind of walks of life and places and dreams, trying to pursue those things here at CSU Pueblo. I want to tell you a little bit about a gentleman by the name of Dan Ritchie. Dan Ritchie was for a long time a businessman who worked all over the country. He worked in media and journalism. He worked with MCA for a while, and then he ran Westinghouse for about 30 years. Then he retired in Colorado around the Kremlin area. He thought he was going to spend his retirement taking care of horses and running a ranch and doing very Colorado things. But he and his buddy Bill Daniels got connected to the University of Denver and started to care about what was happening in that institution. And then in the mid-'80s or so, the University of Denver fell upon really hard times. And Dan actually was on the board and vice chair of the board at the time, I believe. Even took out a personal loan to make sure payroll was met at the University of Denver. That's how committed he was to the work that was going on there. Dan eventually became the chancellor of the University of Denver for a very long period of growth and excitement there. In fact, they have now they built the Dan Ritchie Center, which houses a lot of the athletics and sports that happen there. And he just became just a legendary name in the fabric of Denver and the fabric of the University of Denver. I share that story with you because I was one of the first recipients of the Dan Ritchie Chancellor Scholarship that allowed me to have a full ride to attend law school at the University of Denver. And so I understand and I know the impact of the scholarships that are invested. It was my honor to receive that scholarship. In fact, when I ran for and was elected to a state office in the state of Colorado, the very first check to my campaign came from Dan Ritchie. Dan and I managed to be friends for many years after I awarded that scholarship until the day that he died this last January. And I want you to know that the dollars that you invest in those scholarships aren't just dollars, but they're investments in a relationship. They're investments in people who can grow and can build and can go on to do hopefully great things for the state of Colorado and for our world in general. Students who are the recipients of those scholarships, I want you to understand and recognize that the dollars that you've received, while the scholarship is quantifiable, the investment is not. It's an investment that people have made of their life's work, of their family's resources, of their good name into you. You carry that forward. And hopefully you're able to develop a relationship with that institution or that family or those people in ways similar to what I was able to do with Chancellor Ritchie. We come together today for this lunch and this Friends and Scholars event because we know it's important to mark that, to honor that, and to celebrate those relationships, celebrate that investment that has been made by so many of you, and then celebrate ultimately the connection that we all have here to CSU Pueblo. We're an institution that's committed to serving Southwest Colorado, that we're committed to serving this region, that we're committed to being a minority serving institution. We're committed to be a Hispanic serving institution. We're committed to providing access for students, be it through sports or through nursing or through education, to further their dreams and their careers. And so we thank you for your commitment to those same dreams. We thank you for your commitment to that same endeavor. Hopefully you're enjoying yourselves. You'll enjoy the rest of this lunch, and go Pack.
Thank you so much, Rico. And speaking of Bill Daniels, and being a college president or chancellor is hard work. But Rico, I believe when he took over as chancellor, he did it for free, correct?
Correct.
So imagine, Rico, you doing this job for free. All right. Is that, yeah, and actually, if you donate your salary back, we could fund a scholarship or two. As I said, the foundation, we are a separate entity, but we are closely tied to the university. We get great relationships with the university personnel. And at this time, I'd like to recognize a couple of groups that we work closely with. And if you will please stand, I'd like to recognize the President's Cabinet and the University Leadership Team. If you're on those teams, please stand up so we can give you a round of applause. And thank you for helping us help the students. So, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker who was in your shoes as a student. I'm not going to date him, so recently, right, Carlos? But he spoke at our gala last spring and was just dynamite. I've known Carlos for a couple of years and followed him a little bit, but he's the kind of student, you're all the kind of student that inspires me to come to work to see that if we can help you some way get through college, you get your education, the sky's the limit. And Carlos has not only reached the sky, he's above the clouds, he's past orbit, he's near Mars somewhere, just killing it. So please help me bring up Carlos Salguero.
Thank you, Todd. Appreciate the introduction. As I was coming up today, I told Al, who works with me closely, the beautiful and fun memories that I have about my time here at CSU Pueblo. And to see all of you here today because someone else decided to invest, like President Rico said, in your education, it's a big deal. If we didn't have people that are generous enough to think about the next generation, then maybe our opportunities wouldn't be the same. So I always encourage folks to invest their time, their energy, their money into allowing someone else to come and see and do what you are doing. Because all of you here, students, donors, you are great at something. And many times, there's not enough people that know that could look at what you're doing, learn, and go even become better than you. And today I don't have time to maybe tell you all my story, but what I want to tell you is I want to share some thoughts that I've had of what would I tell myself when I was your age, because most of this room is students, and good students. No bad students made it to this room, did they? And the reality is, guys, is that the marketplace is a very competitive place. The marketplace out there, while you're in school, you're competing with maybe other students, maybe you're competing with yourself. You have a very structured program, classes, curriculum. Some of you guys don't like your professors that much. That's okay. You'll appreciate the ones that actually push you harder rather than the ones that gave you a free ride. And the reality is that the marketplace compensates not for participation. The marketplace compensates for performance, results. And it doesn't matter if you're a freshman or you're a graduate student, this chapter that you're in right now will come to an end. And it will be the beginning of the next few chapters in your life where you are maybe pursuing a career. Maybe you are deciding to start a business. But whatever it is, what will define that next chapter is the people that you decide to invest in and the people that you decide to surround yourselves with. And that is the number one thing that I would have told myself back when I was your age is pick the people that you want to ride with very carefully. Look at those that are achieving great things and try to get close. And I know that a lot of your professors give you grief about being original, not using AI, or doing stuff like that that seems like you're copying somebody else. But the reality is that success leaves clues. Success is something that you can watch somebody else do, and if you're okay with adopting those principles, you can be very, very successful. And the one thing that I have learned to do again and again is, even if you're graduating next year and 2 years from now, don't ever stop being a student. Your learning journey is just beginning. The mistake that I made once I graduated is that I thought I had made it. I thought that I was an engineer, I had a master's degree, I had a bachelor's degree in business, and I thought I was all that. And the first flop that I had when I showed up to an interview for an engineering job was, well, Carlos, how many years of experience do you have doing this engineering thing? And my answer was, I have none. So I had a hard time finding a job. And had I tried to lean onto an engineer that was already doing work and decided to learn even outside of the classroom, I would have had such an easier time finding that job. And for a while, once I got that job, I was like, okay, I know it. I'm going to do this day in and day out. But learning, especially now in the age of knowledge, technology, AI, it's something that you have to take so seriously, because that will be one of your competitive edges. If you know more how to find the solution to a problem, you will become very, very valuable in the marketplace. If you have the initiative to go take it one step further and find out how you can fix that, even if it's phoning a friend or phoning a stranger to try to get the answer, you will win very often. The second thing I will tell myself, if I was your age again, is that there are way better and more talented people than you. Talent alone doesn't cut it. It might get you the foot in the door, but the work, day in, day out, and the consistency to not quit and give up is what's going to really define how far you will get. 99.9% of people give up after the first or second try. When they don't see results immediately, they decide that maybe this is not for them, that maybe the universe or some power is telling them to quit, when the reality is that the people that truly go and advance to a very high level of success, whatever you want to do, it doesn't have to be money, by the way. It can be any field that you choose. And I know that if you're here, if you're a great student, you've made a decision to be the best in your field. You're not trying to compete for average, are you? And those who want to be the best, try one more time. Ask one more time. Call one more time. Email one more time. Show up in person one more time. And that, I'll tell you, is when it clicked for me, barely in my late 30s, it opened a world that I didn't know it existed. Because then I realized that in the 4th, 5th, 10th, 20th, check-in, follow-up, email, text, the result was waiting there for me. And there was no one else around. Because everybody else had quit in the middle of trying. So, I know you all want guarantees of success. I know you all want to be in school and say, man, I want to do this, and I want it so bad. I want to be here 4 years. Maybe you're in the 6-year college plan, or maybe longer. You know, the school wants that kid, wants to keep that getting that money. But the reality, guys, is that the only guarantee that you have in your life is the amount of tenacity, consistency, perseverance, and hard work that you're willing to put into going after your dreams obsessively. A lot of people shy away from that word. But when you study the great, no matter in what field, it could be music, it could be academics, it could be business, it could be athletics. When you study those that have achieved those rare levels of success, they were obsessed about it. They were still doing it when nobody was watching. They were still doing it when the haters started commenting, hey, you're doing this too much. Come party with us. Come hang out with us. And Pueblo's a good place to study. That's what I figured out. I came to the school and there was like no major parties. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna study instead. And that's something that thankfully I did early on, and I didn't get distracted that much. Here's the third thing, guys. Most of us are thinking way too small. We're setting goals that are way too easy to achieve. And the human mind needs to be stretched. The human heart needs to be stretched. When you set a goal for yourselves, it has to be uncomfortable. It has to be unattainable. It has to be almost impossible to reach. When I started my first business, all I wanted is to be able to cover my bills. I set up a goal to cover my bills. And then I realized that I achieved that right away, and then I fell short of what I could have done. And I would have achieved my goals way faster if I had set them real high. Because when you're pursuing the moon and the stars, like Todd said, if you work super hard to reach to the moon, maybe you'll get to the moon, but you get in orbit already. Maybe you don't get to the stars, but you might be already at the moon. And if you're halfway there to a big goal, you've already achieved way more than the average people out there. And just to conclude, the last thing that I would tell myself if I was your age again is get God in my life way sooner. Develop a relationship with our Creator way sooner. Listen to His Word. Read His Word. Learn the principles. Learn that there is an amazing God that loves you unconditionally, that wants you to win unconditionally, that no matter what is there for you to ask for advice, to ask for counsel, and that has created from the beginning of the universe and from the time that you didn't even exist, already had a great plan for you. And when I received Jesus in my heart as my Lord and Savior, in my early 20s, probably the age of many of you, my whole life changed. And for those that are believers, you know the scripture. Everything is possible for those who believe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carlos. And you're talking about you focusing on your studies here in Pueblo because nothing going on. Well, if you were looking at my GPA, I found those few parties that were out there. So there were things happening, Carlos. You just didn't look hard enough. I shot for the moon, Carlos. One thing I did say about Carlos, he was the winner of the Thurkeld Award, which is our top graduating senior, and he was on campus a couple years ago. First time he'd been on campus, 10, 15 years, and walking around, and he said, you know, Todd, one time my name was on a plaque for this award. I said, really? He goes, yeah. So we looked around for it, and we couldn't find it, and so he left, and I spent the next couple of days looking, and sure enough, I found it in the library. And we weren't close, I mean, we weren't that far from it when you were there, but I videotaped it, and I showed him, and said, Carlos, you're here forever, your legacy. But
it wasn't demolished.
It wasn't demolished. And it wasn't in the bathroom where my name is, so, which is good. Next, I'd like to bring up our next speaker who is speaking on behalf of all of our students here. He's scholarship recipients. He's doing so much. Carlos, you're going to be impressed with Gavin, what he's doing here. He's kind of a rare student where he's majoring in engineering and music, kind of the left brain, right brain type of thing. But here's a few words on the impact of philanthropy is Gavin Grant.
I wanted to start off by being a little honest. I'm kind of upset at whoever thought it was a good idea to put me after two excellent speakers. So, just going to put that out there. But, as you know, my name is Gavin Grant. I am a fourth year here at CSU Pueblo. I'm a student in mechatronics engineering and music performance. I play piano. I am a Kane Family Foundation Scholar, a Daniels Fund Scholar, Hogue Rawlings Foundation Scholar, and I also received several other foundation scholarships here at the university. And really, it's obvious, looking at it at the surface level, what the impacts of philanthropy is. And you know, we wouldn't be in this room if it weren't for that. And none of us would be, but I especially. And so, really, I'd like to talk about a pretty big impact of philanthropy on my life, and that starts with my parents, specifically my mother. And so she was a kid in foster care, and growing up, she realized that her ticket, as she likes to call it, her ticket to independence and freedom from the system and from poverty was her education. And that's really similar to what the Kane Family Foundation's value is. It's their mission and vision is independence through education. And so she studied really hard. She graduated from high school, and then she went to CSU Pueblo. She applied for scholarships and received a 4-year degree in social work. And she became part of the 1% at the time that received a 4-year degree after being in foster care. And after that, she went on to DU and received her master's in social work, also being paid for by the scholarships that she applied for, by the people that are like the ones that are in this room right now, our donors, our philanthropists. And so she came back to Pueblo, did another thing that was completely unheard of, and started working at social services as an ex-foster kid. And while working at social services, she fundraised on the side doing walkathons and so on for the foster kids that she was supporting as a caseworker. And so she would give, you know, she would fundraise and donate for school supplies and books and clothes, Walkmans and CDs. I had to look that one up. And there, she met this cute guy who was also working in the department. And while fundraising for one of these, supplies that the schools needs, she asked this guy and she said, "Hey, would you donate to my cause?" And him, who was just a fresh graduate with buried in student loans and on a social worker salary, which my heart goes out to all of you social work grads, he declined. And he graciously said no. And she really didn't like that answer. And so she asked him, do you have a job? Do you have a paycheck? Then you can donate. And so he did. And some things happened in between, and he became my dad. So I literally wouldn't be here if it wasn't for philanthropy. So now my dad works in child advocacy. He works for CASA, which is Court-Appointed Special Advocates. He works in 8 different counties. He supports children in 8 different counties going through the court system. And they work to reduce the numbers of abuse and neglect for children, both just in the court system in general and in foster care. And growing up, I watched him and his incredible staff do so many fundraising and awareness events, more than I could ever count. And growing up, I realized something incredibly important. It's very important. And it's that agencies that want to make an impact on the community are at the complete mercy of people like us in this room. And I say people like us because it's not just the current donors, the current philanthropists, but our duty as the recipients of these scholarships to extend the favor. And so we have been given a right to become philanthropists and the donors and the program directors that are sitting at the tables with us. We now need to make a commitment to do well with their, as President Munn said, their immeasurable investment. And before I really made this speech and started preparing for this, I kind of had an idea of philanthropy in my head as Bruce Wayne giving away $1 million, or donating weeks worth of my time to different charities, or these really, really grandiose ideas. But philanthropy starts now. It starts as soon as you can. Your journey as a philanthropist and the impacts that you can make as a philanthropist starts when you're a student. It starts by donating $20. It starts by donating $5 to a charity of wherever you know where the money's going to. It starts donating your time volunteering for meal centers or soup kitchens or community cleanups. That is what philanthropy is. Philanthropy is extending the love and the care that you've received as scholarship recipients to impact impact onto the communities that need it. We were once the communities that need it. And now it's time to extend that love. And that is what philanthropy is. The Greek root of philanthropy means the love of humanity. And as a student, it can be hard to be a philanthropist and start my journey as a philanthropist. And we have midterms and finals and projects, and many of you here have families and full-time or part-time jobs. And breakups happen, and then you start to lose your way, and you don't know what you're going to do. And so what has helped me, and this is a piece of advice that I'd like to extend onto all of you, is that as a Daniels Fund scholar, they gave me a letter. It was an anonymous letter from a donor. And I keep this letter on my mirror, on my nightstand sometimes. I move it around different places so it just catch my eye. And what it does is it serves as a reminder to me of the person that I want to be, the person who I need to be, and the person who I am now. And so what I'd like you to do is after, everything happens, after, once you get a quick chance, ask the current philanthropist at your table how you can start your journey, or how you can get a piece of advice. What advice would they give you? What can I do to give back? And so my letter, it reads, be honest, give more than anyone else, do the hard things first, you need people to support you, take care of them. And the biggest thank you that you could ever give to any person in your life that has ever impacted you through your education or through financing or funding you in some way or giving you the opportunity and the right to become that philanthropist in your life and make your own impact cannot be written through a thank you note. It can't be said through words, but it can be done by your actions. And so remember, it doesn't matter what you're going to be in life, you're always going to need people. That's the way it is. You're always going to need humanity, and you're going to need to extend that love of humanity. So that letter to me represents who I want to be as a philanthropist. So remember, you need people to support you. Take care of them. Thank you.
Well, Gavin, the reason why we put you last is we have the best for last. Good. Yes, thank you so much. I was going to say you could blame Sandy for putting you last, but no, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. There's a few closing remarks here. First, I need to thank my foundation staff who do all the work, but specifically Sandy Lundell. Sandy in the room. Where's Sandy? Sandy, where is she? Is she here? Sandy, thank you so much. Students, congratulations. You've worked hard for the scholarship. And as Gavin said, this is your opportunity. Everybody in life gets an opportunity. Are you prepared for that opportunity? And do you use that opportunity? It's up to you. Your opportunity will come. It might be today, might be next week, might be in 10 years, but be ready for that opportunity. And finally, to our supporters, thank you in believing in us. Thank you in believing in our students to make the impact. We're here to make sure your legacy continues. You've worked hard. You've given out. You're making an impact. I don't take that lightly. You've trusted us with your legacy. We're going to fulfill your legacy and make sure people continue on with your ways. But again, let's give it up one more time for Rico, Carlos, and Gavin. Thank you so much. And I like lunches that end before 1, so it's about 10 till, so you have time to walk back to class. But thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. As Rico said, let's go Pack.